Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to That One Awkward Guy. Today we're going to be continuing our series in Hearts of Iron 4 with the Novum Vexillum mod as the United Kingdom in our quest to bring back the Empire. In the last episode we continued our build-up and began to develop, as you can see, our oil reserves, military, and civilian industry. I'm just going to turn down the music just a little bit. I had it up and it just feels a little bit loud for me, so we'll do that. So yeah, that's basically where we are. As you can see, our industry is improving. We're actually building some planes now to help out with our aircraft carriers and with a lot of the invasions we're soon going to be doing. I'm going to just go ahead and unpause it, and I wanted to check how is our division template. Our division template is basically ready to go here. I don't remember if I already converted all the guys to it or not, but we'll have to soon. And also want to rename this to just 20 width infantry. 20 width. I thought we did this in the last one, but whatever. I think maybe I didn't hit rename, but I just want that done. And then Armored Brigade is what we're going to have to fix up next. You know what, we might as well actually just get started on that. We're going to be doing something like that for now. How close are we to? Okay, we're just gonna sit on this screen until we get enough army experience to do another tank. Because it only should be another day or two. And there it is. Save. So there we go. That is a lot of tanks that we're gonna have to get produced now. I'm going to hold off. I'm gonna get the dockyards, actually. You know what, I'm thinking we're gonna need to develop our navy, so better do it now than later. And I also kind of think that research slot is gonna become important, because we don't have a lot to research right now, but when we get to that kind of crossover point, there's gonna be a lot of stuff we have to get researched very quickly to keep at pace with everybody. Now as for this, let's actually get a chief of the army first. I think we're gonna pick... Oh, Portugal did something. We are gonna pick division org. I think we're gonna just get a straight up army offense. I think we're gonna do that. And we are also working on our nukes. We've already got, it looks like, at least one. Yeah, we got one nuclear reactor built. So I think this is actually going to work out to be very important for these invasions, because a lot of these invasions, specifically I'm worried about South Africa, are going to be pretty tough, because there's a limited amount of ports and the enemy is probably in many cases going to be very capable of defending said ports. And I don't want to be sitting there, you know, losing hundreds of thousands of guys attacking the same port again and again and again. That won't be fun for me, and it certainly won't be fun for all y'all watching, so we are not going to let that happen. If it means we have to put the rest of our industry on hold for a little while we get some nuclear reactors online, then so be it. Our manpower is also looking a lot better since we went to limited conscription. We're at 500,000 now. Recruitable's not quite where I want it yet, but it will get there, because we are going down this, and that's going to get us an additional 5% at some point. Now, I don't think there's any formables, which will be unfortunate. However, we should work out to be okay, because if I puppet both South Africa and India, which is what the war goal is for, then I shouldn't really have any particular issues in just using the subjects, puppet, whatever, thing to get manpower. So that's probably what we're going to end up doing. Let me just reach over here and grab my water. Sorry for the bumping there. I don't know if you could hear that. I had to reach across the room. But yeah, so that's gonna kind of solve our manpower issue if we can win that war, and it won't be an easy war. The longer we wait, the stronger India is gonna get. We can already see I'd say they're more powerful than us as it stands. So India's gonna be a little bit from now. Once we get South Africa, though, that's gonna be a good start, at least in getting some manpower, though I am kind of tempted to conquer it just for the industry. I don't know. Not sure what I'm going to do with that yet. But also, if we get a faction going, that should be pretty good. Alright, so we got 2 dockyards. We are going to invest in some carriers. Let's actually look at our hulls here. So we got the 1980, we got 2000. If I create a variant of you, what can I change? I can add a radar, and I can add that. But I don't even have the naval experience to do both of those. So we can do one of those. And that's saved now? Yes. So that means we both have to retrofit the old carriers and produce the new ones. So let's just, oops, that was a mistake. Please join that fleet. Unpause it for a second. Come on. Oh man, Man the Guns. Such a great update. I love it. Absolutely love it. It's not like it's made naval combat more complex than it needs to be at all. I was playing multiplayer with a friend the other day, and we got to the point where we kind of figured everything out for the most part, but we kind of both ended up saying the same thing, and we are going to trade for this chromium now. It makes sense, and once you start to learn it, yeah, it's not necessarily impossible, but there were so many times when I'm like, why? What is it adding? And that's the biggest thing I have to say with Man the Guns. It's like, I see the same comment. If you take your time to learn it, then, you know, it's not that bad. Okay, but why do we have to pay? Well, not that we have to pay, but why are we being told, hey, buy this DLC? It's not that bad. Like, if I'm spending money on a DLC, which I bought the version that gave you like the first 5 DLCs or something free back on release. But why are we settling for it's not that bad? Or if you take the time to learn it, it's okay. Like, it doesn't really add anything to naval combat, at least from my perspective. I'll get the armor upgrade there. From my perspective, I'm just sitting there like doing all this really boring add 2 destroyers to this task force, and I still end up doom stacking half the time because the AI does it too, and the AI is dumb enough that really you can get away with barely using your navy anyway, unless you're playing like US or Japan, in which case you can still doom stack and it's gonna be fine. So it doesn't really get rid of doom stacking. It makes everything like, look at this, right? If I want to have, that's not my navy. If I want to have all these different task forces, I have to go and I'm like, okay, open task editor, blah, 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 get all this. And the UI I still think is really clunky, especially in the production window. And it, like, I just really struggle to understand what am I gaining, what enjoyment is being added in Man the Guns. Where can somebody honestly say it's made the game better? And I don't know, I'd love to hear in the comments if maybe you really love Man the Guns, like what is it that makes it so great, because I just don't see it. It drives me mad. I cannot stand playing it most of the time. But yeah, okay, so you need to be put, see, look at this, this drives me mad. Now I have to go through all of this just to find the template to see if it actually updated or not, which it didn't. Apparently, even though I spent money or points to update it. Like stuff like this is unnecessarily complicated. I got the template, I updated this template, I created a variant, and it shows it as having a variant here, but I can't update to it. Why? I don't understand the reasoning here. Okay, there we go. Now I can upgrade. I have to go through. There we go. Okay, I've got it now. Now I found it. I didn't see that before. But even still, like, I found, even with this upgrade system, we were playing a game, we were doing, like, a Germany and the United Kingdom, basically, against the world. And we kind of just ran into this issue where I was building a battleship, right? And then I had these older battleships. I'm like, oh, okay, and I spent a bunch of naval power and I retrofitted them. And then I realized it took me about the same time to retrofit an old battleship as it took to just build a new one. So I'm like, why am I bothering with this retrofit when it was super annoying? Because I had like 4 or 5 different types of submarines, and I didn't even have close to the naval experience with all my fleet on training and everything to upgrade all of those templates to all the modern stuff. So I didn't have enough there, and it took forever to actually get them to upgrade, and then it took forever to to actually do all of those individual templates, and by the end of it you have a million different templates on the screen, retrofitting them all. It's like, what? Why? It's just, I preferred the old version where you just had like your old ships just patrolling your coast or acting as like convoy escort or something, and you just split them into a different fleet. At least it wasn't ideal, but at least it was simple and didn't require stupid micromanaging. I'm going off on a tangent because I'm if I could remove Man the Guns and still play mods, like remove Man the Guns and like all the stuff it brought with it, and still like, because you have to basically revert the game to an older version, and still play mods, I absolutely would. But to actually remove all of the stuff it did, I'd have to literally never play mods, because all of them are updated for Man the Guns pretty much now. So, the Faroe Islands. Faroe Islands. What do I know? Is that? That's not these guys, is it? It is. Oh, well, you're in NATO now. They went fascist and then joined America. Okay. So NATO's still kicking, kind of. But yeah, I'd love to hear. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of Man the Guns? Is there something maybe I'm missing that they've added? Like, part of me likes that I can customize the ships. I don't mind that so much. That's kind of fun. But the retrofitting system is incredibly annoying, in my opinion. And excuse the squeaky in my chair here. I'm just moving the chair. So that's kind of cool. But it creates more hassle than it's worth when you actually have to have all of these different ships and a million different templates, and that just gets annoying. Like, if you look, the way they did planes is actually kind of nice, where I can just go, and it's really simple. Just 4 things that I can upgrade. It's simple, it's easy, it's effective, but it's also customizable. You can choose, what do I actually want this plane to be specialized for? And it's really simple, but and the upgrade is simple because it just automatically does it as well. Right, I don't need to actually go manually to all my fighter squadrons and upgrade them. So I like that, and I think that there was a similar function in place for tanks, but I think they just went way too far. It's one of those things where, like, you know how sometimes, I'm trying to think of how to explain this, you have an idea in your head, right? So you go and you go at it and you create this whole thing around it, and to you, every bit of it makes wonderful, perfect, amazing sense. And it all just clicks and it all works and it seems so simple. And then you show it to someone else and they're just confused. They don't even know where to start. Like, your idea makes absolutely no sense. This could be anything. Maybe you're designing a board game. Maybe you're writing a story, or maybe you're explaining how to do like some math equation to somebody. And for you, it makes all this sense, but for someone else, it doesn't, because you're the one who came up with it, or you're the one who originally learned it and prepared it. So in your head, it makes sense because you have all the context and you have you have the advantage of effectively designing it. But for someone that didn't spend a lot of time designing it and doesn't know all of the mechanics in and out like the back of their own hand, it's really confusing if you don't have that advantage. And I think that's basically what this is. Those who designed it, it probably seems really awesome to them because they're the ones who designed it. They understand how everything works. They understand how the mechanics are supposed to help or do whatever. But for everyone else that didn't do that, and this is, I'm not just speaking for me, everybody knows there's a lot of hate for Man the Guns out there. But yeah, for everybody else, it kind of ends up being something like that, where it's like, it's so overly complex and we don't see what it adds. So, are we going to do British Armed Forces? Not yet. Are we going to do this? Get the extra dockyard? We might as well. And, I mean, I think you see similar things with Imperator Rome, with the, was it mana system, whatever, where probably for the devs, they see, oh, but this system allows us to do all of this stuff, right? Or this system works really well and it makes it easier for X, Y, and Z and lets us do X, Y, whatever. But for the players, it's like, ooh, click a button and effect. Click a button. It's like the cookie, it's like, you know those old cookie clicker games, or I think they're still out there, where you just literally tap the screen and something happens. It's basically, that's what a mana system is. It's a strategy game, cookie clicker. That's just weird to say. But that is effectively what that mana has turned things. And frankly, I don't think the focus system is any better in HOI4. I think HOI4 is the same thing. Click and you get an effect. Which, there always has to be stuff like that, but a lot of times there's no consequence for making a decision. And that's the problem that, and I'm just pause talking here, so let me just actually read these so I can pick one. Let's get army logistics. I think that's going to be useful. But that's the issue with mana systems. In HOI4 it's a little better because a lot of times there are certain drawbacks of picking certain focuses, so it's a little better, but a lot of times still it's just do this and get a civilian factory. That's not an attack on this mod. Oh, I don't want their influence to increase, so that's not an attack on this mod. All mods do it. It's part of how the game works. You can't really not do it. But it does end up feeling a little bit like just click it and it happens, and the mana system basically takes the worst aspects of focus trees and expands upon them, so it removes any possibility really of there being a negative choice a lot of the time, because just spend this amount of whatever diplo power or military, whatever. It's kind of like an EU4 has this same system, and you get this. There's no reason not to. You spend this much and you raise your stability, right? And you get this air and they give you this many points. And EU4, don't get me wrong, it's a really fun game. We're definitely spending this political power, get that stability. It's a really fun game, and it has a lot of other depth in the game that kind of makes up for it. The one thing, I don't play a lot of EU4, but I love how the trade works, and I love the idea of you have to control these trade, like these choke points in the trade and everything. That's really cool for me. I found that interesting. But because it has a lot of other complexity, it kind of makes up for that, and that's why EU4, I think Hearts of Iron 4 is probably like the most well-known Paradox game, maybe. I mean, it's the one I see people that don't play strategy games play Hearts of Iron 4, at least that I know. But EU4 is definitely probably second, I think. And I think that's why, because it does have a lot of redeeming factors. But everything I've looked at with Imperator Rome, it just doesn't. There's no depth there. It's just mana. You spend this much mana, you get this thing, and that is it. The combat seems really boring. The attrition, at least everything I've seen, is meh. Like, that's a joke. I've seen people just walking from one side of their country to the other. They lose, like, half their army, and it makes no sense. Other than, it's depth because you have to worry about attrition. That's not depth. Like, depth is having, like in EU4, having a trade system. That is actually something that you don't just trade, like in HOI4, you don't just click a button and trade. You actually have to worry about, okay, to make money off of this, where am I situated? I need to try to control this trade route, and maybe I need to control that land. And this land specifically is more valuable because it's near a trade node. Like, stuff like that is depth. Attrition is not depth. So, and I'm not saying that's synthetic oil. I'm not going to need that right now. I'm not saying that they're saying that attrition is depth, but that seems to be what they're falling back on. All these really silly things that really don't add that much to the game and really just make the game worse, and then it's pretending that everything's great. And that's why Imperator Rome, I mean, what's it got, like 70% dislike or something now? And one thing I always see people saying is, oh, well, it's a Paradox game, it'll be good eventually. Then I'll buy it eventually. Right? Like, if the defense is, oh, well, it'll be good in like 2 years once they get the DLCs out. So it's like, okay, so you want me to pay, well, what, in Canada, a new game costs about $80. So what, you want me to pay $80? I don't know if that's what it costs here. I don't remember, but if you want me to get, if you want me to get a game for $80 that isn't really going to be in a very playable state, and then you want me to spend probably, you look at the average cost of DLC, about $20. Let's say 3 DLCs, and it's good after that point. So you want me to spend another $60, right? Like, I'll buy it when it's good then. I'm not going to buy it now, and I'm not going to pretend it's a good game because it eventually will be really fun. No. If it has to at least be playable on release. Like, you look at Hearts of Iron 4. Hearts of Iron 4 was not the best. It had issues on release, but it was playable. And, you know, there was stuff missing, and a lot of countries didn't have focus trees, and there's still mechanics. I think the Navy system is still broken, even after Man the Guns. But on release, I had a lot of fun playing. So there we go. I was willing to spend some money on that. But a game that doesn't have depth, that isn't fun, that has a lot of broken features, I'm not going to spend $80 and then be told you have to spend another $60 on DLCs, and you have to wait a year or 2 years for it to be fun. That isn't a good game. That is a poor design. That is a poor release schedule. If it's not good, then wait until it's good. Release it after you've developed it to the point where it's good, and you've fixed all the issues with it. But no, that's just not worth it to me. So I don't really see that as a valid defense of the game that it'll be good eventually. It should be playable and it should be fun on release. And of course there are going to be games that get better. I think Rome 2 Total War is an example. Rome 2 Total War, I was stupidly excited when that game came out. I grew up on the original Rome. Like, I played that. I can't swear because YouTube will demonetize me, but I played that game like mad, okay? I was like, that was my life. Rome 2 came out. It was one of the worst games I had ever played. It had stability issues. Every faction was a clone. It was boring. The AI, I remember, I fought a battle once. They were sieging me. They had an army. I had about 500 men. They had about 4,000. I won because they sent their general alone to attack my legionaries. I killed him. And then they sent their spearmen they had a ton of guys with javelins. Kept the javelins in the rear. They sent their spearmen, I killed their spearmen. And I fought a fighting retreat. I used the archer towers and fired, and they just chased after me all around the fort. And then by the time they had about 1 or 2 spearmen left, maybe 200-300 men, they send all of their javelin men, to which I just... Uh-oh, Sweden. What are you doing? Let's just see what Sweden is doing here. Sweden is... Okay, they're not in a faction, so... I guess Sweden's monarchy, right? Yeah. Well, good luck, Sweden, I guess. And then we gotta do this. I'll get back to the story in a second. So, we can either do this, which will increase the popularity of progressivism and communism, give us 3 base stability, and it'll increase the influence of social democrat. Ooh. I don't care about the popularity, but the influence does concern me. Or if I do this, but see, either one I pick will take 2 influence away from the monarchy, right? Oh, I should have never done this focus. So this will actually get away 1% consumer goods, and this will add 2% consumer goods, but it does give me 5% stability. You know what, though? Ultimately, once I get this, I don't have another way to get rid of that 2%. Consumer goods, right? I do have a way to win back. I'm actually not even going to lose stability if I do actually lose 10. I do have a way to gain back 10% stability, and I've been doing it with all of these focuses. Let's see if I even have another one somewhere now. Here we go, host an air show, right? And I think that fund the whatever the news outlets comes back every once in a while. So I think I shouldn't have done this focus, but I think we're going to do this just because I don't want... 2% really isn't that much, though. Okay, this is painful. 2% isn't that much, and if the influence is going either way, whatever. 10% is a lot when I actually think about it. We're probably going to take forever to get all that back. Alright, let's go expand the home office. Anyway, so I fought that fighting retreat throughout the fort, and then I get all of their javelin men come at me. I have, like, no men left at this point. I send my legionaries, I charge at them, and they all rout. That was one of the worst plays on behalf of the AI. Those javelin men wouldn't have routed if their general was still alive, and their spearmen wouldn't be dead if they properly supported them with their javelins. Instead, their javelin men. Instead, they sent them in waves that would guarantee they would lose the most men. And then you'd also get weird bugs. The AI would just stand and wait out the battle. The game was broken on release, and now it's actually a fun game, especially if you get some mods on there. The game is fun vanilla, but mods are just awesome, so. But that's a game that was improved, and I made the mistake. If I knew, I would not have bought it on release. But for me, I will always very harshly criticize Rome 2 because I don't respect I don't respect when somebody's going to put out a game that isn't finished, that has a lot of problems. And I love Paradox, but I don't like if they're going to put out a game that isn't finished, that doesn't have the right content, that doesn't have the depth, sell it for full price. And I don't think they were selling it for $80. I think it was like $44 or something like that. I can't remember. That might have been me seeing it on sale though, but to sell it for the, whatever a full price game is for a Paradox game, and just expect, like, what are you doing? I would rather them delay the release so that way it's actually good. Because how many people bought that game expecting a really quality thing? Because, we all, I'd like to say we trust Paradox and everything. And then a lot of people, I still see people complaining all over all the Discord chats I'm in, still saying, all I want for Christmas is a Imperator Rome refund. Because it's too late now and they didn't realize in time that it was a mess. Let's get a decisive battle. And they didn't realize in time, and that's that now. What are we now? We got more things. Okay. Excuse me. Let's grab. You know what? Let's increase our production of destroyers and corvettes. Yeah. But yeah, I still see that all over, and I still see people complaining about that. And again, for good reason. I feel like people really got ripped off. And now, I didn't buy Imperator Rome on release. Because I watched the gameplay, and I watched a lot of what was going on, and I don't know, I looked at it, and I had something in me that said, no, don't buy this. And I didn't really know why, because I love the era, I love a lot of the concepts. But something just told me, don't buy it. So I didn't. I said, you know what? Normally I like to buy them on release and take advantage of, the pre-order discounts, or to buy the version that gets you all the DLCs in the future. I didn't, and I'm very happy that I made that decision. And the next time Paradox releases, a grand strategy game, I'm not going to buy it on release. I'm going to wait. And that's the consequence of releasing a game like that, and I know a lot of people that are going to do the same. So this has gotten somehow from Man the Guns all the way to Imperator Rome, but I think both have the same core issue. They're releasing things that maybe to them seem like really good quality, but clearly they didn't do enough playtesting with the community because there's a lot of problems there. And Total War, to bring it back, has had the same issue. You look at Thrones of Britannia. That game was a mess. I had the same feeling about that. I looked at it, I'm like, this is going to be another Rome 2. And it is. The only difference is they fixed Rome 2. They haven't fixed Thrones of Britannia. What are we going to do here? So if we go freedom first, we get war support, libertarianism, we get, ooh, I like that, -3% consumer goods. And we do this, which will kill a little bit of our political power gain, but does give us some less consumer goods. But we're making actually really good political power, 1.99 with a focus going. Or we go this way, which takes away some stability. And more stability. Okay, we're actually going to do freedom first, because I think that little bit of political power a day is actually really worth it, especially considering we're nearing the end of all of this here. So that's going to be worth it for the extra consumer goods. Works out, what, 5% I get in total? 3 and 2. Yeah, an extra 5%. I'll take that. But yeah, they have the same issue, and I didn't get 3 Kingdoms for the reason that I didn't get Thrones of Britannia, because I was really worried, and thankfully I've heard a lot of really good things about 3 Kingdoms, and I might pick it up on sale one day. But it really can hurt a reputation, because especially after Rome 2, I didn't buy any games after Rome 2. I haven't bought a Total War game on release since Rome 2. I didn't buy Attila. I didn't buy, what came after Attila? I think they went from Attila to Warhammer. I didn't buy Warhammer 2, and I didn't buy Thrones of Britannia. I haven't bought 3 Kingdoms. I have not bought any of them on release. I've since bought the Warhammer and Attila, because even Attila had problems on release, to be honest, from what I heard and watched, but I bought all of those since. Attila, I can only even play Attila modded. I can't play Attila base game. And Warhammer, I think Warhammer was actually the turnaround. I started to trust Total War after Warhammer, because those were just well done games. They're really awesome. Those are absolutely, I recommend playing them. They are fun vanilla, they're fun with mods. definitely recommend those. And then they lost my trust again with Thrones of Britannia. I didn't get it, mostly because there was a mod that had a very similar concept with, I think it was Attila. It was a Viking mod, so I didn't really feel like I needed it because I felt like the mod already gave me what I was hoping for, I guess. But what are we gonna get here? We're gonna get this guy, Close Air Support. So I didn't get it, but yeah, and I'm happy I didn't. And again, there's the same problem, right? It's like, it's released and it's still not fixed. It's still, I've never seen it, Total War game received that badly since the original Rome 2. And it just was like a knife to the back after the awesomeness that was the Warhammer games. And there's still a third one coming out that I'm looking forward to. But yeah, and it looks like now Three Kingdoms is good. So it's been rocky with Total War, but for me, Paradox is just, that's 2 in a row. Man the Guns and Imperator Rome that I just feel like these shouldn't have been released. They weren't good. They were not, somebody messed up with quality control on those because there's some issues there. And I don't know, I don't think Man the Guns is ever going to be fixed. I think we're going to be stuck with this naval system. So if you love it, good for you, but I think for those of us that don't like it, I think we're going to be stuck with this, at least for the considerable future. And Imperator Rome, I have no doubt in 2 years that it's going to switch to positive eventually, and that they're going to add depth, and through DLCs it's going to be good. But I'm not going to buy it for 2 years, and I'm going to wait until it's on sale for 80% off, and I can pick it all up for $20. Because I'm not going to pay full price for that. I'm not going to pay everything until I know it's good, until it's on sale. And that's the damage of releasing something that isn't ready, that isn't complete. And you see the same thing with, like, Battlefront got hate over that because they released the Seasons Pass. It's like, hey, so we made the game, we took content out, and we're selling it to you for another $60. And Rome 2 actually did that as well. They took out the Spartans. So the Spartans were, I think, like one of the first DLCs that actually came out. And you could fight the Spartans right away. Then they sold it as a DLC, and we're all sitting there like and thinking, so you made the Spartans, you took them out of the game, and then you made us pay for them. That's not cool, and I feel like maybe that's not what Paradox has done here, because they haven't really, I think, had any major DLC releases from Imperator Rome, but it still feels like they weren't releasing a finished game, and I think they knew that. I think they knew they weren't releasing. I just didn't think they expected people to be as upset as people have. And if you don't believe me, go look at the Steam page. It has, last time I checked, I think about a 70% negative ratings on it. So, I don't know. That's the way I see about it. Anyway, that's been me ranting for about 20 minutes on all the things I hate about strategy games now. Can we just go back to like the 90s and the early 2000s? Bring me back Command & Conquer. The original StarCraft. Wings of Liberty was actually pretty fun. I enjoyed Wings of Liberty. Oh, man. Back in the good old days. Anyway, though, that's going to be it for today. So if you did enjoy, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see y'all in the next episode. Bye for now.